Majority of people that want to work out think they have to choose between losing fat and building muscle. They think that first you bulk, gain a lot of weight, and then cut later to lose all the fat. And in some cases, that approach makes sense. If someone is extremely underweight, they may need a calorie surplus to build muscle at first. And if someone is significantly overweight, a focused fat loss phase may be the priority. But there's a large group of people that fall somewhere in between, people who don't need an aggressive bulk and people who don't need an aggressive cut. These people need what's called a body recomposition. And if you're someone who's stuck deciding between bulking and cutting and you're wondering what a recomposition actually is, then make sure to watch this full video because I'm going to completely break it down for you. At its simplest form, a recomposition is losing body fat while building muscle at the same time. Sounds good, right? So, if you feel like you look soft, you have some fat around your stomach, but you also haven't quite built a lot of muscle and you're lacking definition, then this is most likely the approach that will work for you in terms of building a fitter body. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to structure your training and nutrition to build muscle while reducing body fat. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Nick. I'm an online fitness coach, and I help folks build muscle and confidence through structured programs that focus on training, nutrition, and mindset. All right, now let's get to breaking down what a body recomposition is. Most fitness advice says bulk or cut. Bulking equals eating in a large calorie surplus, and cutting equals eating in a large calorie deficit. But majority of people don't need either of these extremes. They're not extremely underweight and they're not extremely overweight. They're somewhere in the middle. And often in today's society, that's described as skinny fat. So there's a lot of fat around your stomach. You may have heard it as visceral fat. And then you also have limited muscle definition. Individuals that have this type of physique benefit most from a body recomposition. We're not force feeding calories. We aren't aggressively slashing calories. We are working in a controlled range that allows us to gradually build muscle while also gradually decreasing our body fat. And in today's video, I'm going to explain exactly how to lose fat while building muscle at the same exact time. So first things first, let's better understand the concept of a body recomp or a body recomposition. Basically, it means we're trying to improve the muscle to fat ratio. The goal is simply not to lose weight anymore like it is with a cut, but the goal is to improve your overall body composition. And your body composition can simply be thought of as the ratio of fat mass to fat-free mass, which includes muscles, bones, organs, water, and connective tissue. We want more lean muscle and less body fat. And it's important to keep in mind in this phase or recomposition, the scale may not change drastically. Maybe it'll move up or down 5 or 10 pounds, but the mirror will for sure change, which is what we want overall. We want to look better. That's the main point of a recomposition, to recomp our body and make it look better. By increasing our muscle mass, we're going to be increasing our metabolic rate, which will subsequently help us decrease our fat mass. The result will be us getting leaner, stronger, and having a more athletic physique. And that's what we want, my friend. Now, muscles only develop when our bodies have a reason to adapt. This is why progressive overload is necessary during a recomp. Training performance must trend upward over time when we're doing a body recomposition. And some examples of progressive overload are as follows: more reps with the same weight, more weight with the same reps, improved control and stability, decreasing our rest times to challenge our endurance, or increasing our intensity of the workout or training we're doing. There's other examples of progressive overloads, but those are the main ones that I like to use. And fundamentally, what progressive overload does is it signals to the body, build stronger muscle tissue now. And to be blunt, without progression in your performance, your muscle growth is just going to remain limited. That's because progressive overload equals stimulus quality, and you want to be stimulating your muscles. And if you want an even more detailed breakdown of what progressive overload is with real situations and real examples, make sure to watch the video that I posted on my YouTube channel. I go into a way more in-depth breakdown with, again, real situations and real examples that just might apply to you and your circumstances. Moving on from here, next, we all knew it was coming: protein, but more specifically, high protein intake and consumption. The nutrient protein supports muscle repair and muscle growth. So, knowing that, we can logically understand how adequate protein intake protects our lean muscle mass, especially while we're decreasing our body fat percentage. Higher protein intake also provides better satiation, so we feel less hungry and more satisfied, making moderate calories easier to maintain. A general guideline for protein is to eat zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, but I would even go so far to say getting a minimum of 1 gram to upwards of 1.2 grams could be super beneficial for you because overall protein improves efficiency of a recomposition. So the more protein, the better. As we continue on, we want to be precise with our calories and our macros because a recomposition really requires tighter control over your calories and your macros, way more than a bulk and a cut would, TBH. Because when you're bulking, you can eat way over and just like say, I'm gaining extra. Or when you're cutting, you can eat way under and just say, hey, I'm losing extra. But with a recomp, the calories are typically near your maintenance or ever so in a slight deficit. So if you go way too low on that deficit, you're going to be losing way too much muscle. And if you go way too above the maintenance, you're going to be gaining way too much fat. And we don't want that because when we go too deep in our deficit, that's also hurting our training, that's hurting our performance. And again, when we go too large of a surplus, too much over our maintenance, that's just going to be increasing our body fat. And we don't want that on the recomp. The whole point of the recomp is to start looking better in the mirror. We want to be maintaining a narrow calorie range and a narrow macro range. So when I'm referring to macros, I'm talking about proteins, carbs, fats, even sugars and fibers. There's a bunch of macros that you can track. I usually like to track those main three because those are the big three for me: the protein, fat, and the carbs. But again, if you're someone who is at risk for things like pre-diabetes, you definitely want to be tracking your sugar. Or if you're at risk for high blood pressure, you definitely want to be tracking your cholesterol and things like that. So every situation is different to the person watching this because everyone has a different situation in their life. But when we keep our calories in a narrow range, that supports our training performances while also supporting us gradually reducing our fat mass. So precision with calories and macros matters so much during this phase or this strategy of the recomp. And if this is what you're committing to, please be aware that you will need to track your calories in order to achieve the best results. You can't go in this blindly and trying to be eating holistically. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, moving on, in terms of training, we want to find that sweet spot because if we're doing a recomp, being in that sweet spot is very important because muscle growth requires significant training volume, but excessive volume reduces our recovery, which we don't want, especially without being in a large calorie surplus while we're trying to build muscle. Usually, when you're bulking, you're in a large calorie surplus, so your muscles are getting a lot of carbs and a lot of protein, so they have a lot of energy to lift heavier weights and things like that. But when you're in a recomp, you're sitting around maintenance or in a slight deficit, so you don't necessarily have as much energy as you would have in a bulk. A body recomposition works best in a recoverable volume range. What this means is enough training stimulus to promote muscle growth, but not taking your body so far to fatigue that the recovery starts to decline. In a recomp, balanced volume allows performance progression to continue. So it's very important that you have balance and that you're able to find that sweet spot with the training. Now, let's keep in mind the scale weight alone does not accurately reflect a recomposition's progress. Your performance trends should be the primary indicator of this phase. So, if your strength is improving, that indefinitely means that your muscles are developing. That means that you're building muscle. That means that it's occurring. You want to look for gradual improvements. Things like improvements in your strength, improvements in your repetitions, improvements in your movement quality, aka your form, and maintaining a stable body weight while you're increasing performance. When you're able to do this, it often indicates fat loss and muscle gain is occurring simultaneously. And you might not even see it because, again, the scale won't be fluctuating that much. But in a couple of months, you'll look in the mirror and your body will be significantly different. Ultimately, performance trends reveal adaptation, and that's exactly what we want. We want our body to adapt and get better. And lastly, we need to trust the process because patience wins here. A recomposition is slower than an aggressive bulk and an aggressive cut. Weekly changes will be much more subtle within this type of approach. Usually, when you're cutting or bulking, you step on the scale every week and you see going up a pound or going down a pound. But with a recomp, it's a lot more subtle than that. The small improvements do compound significantly over time, though, and you have to understand that. Life is not a race, it's a marathon. And too many people quit early because the progress they're seeing isn't extreme. But the slow changes often yield higher quality results. They often yield higher quality changes. And the ultimate goal for recomp is sustainable muscle development while at the same time having sustainable fat reduction and long-term improvement. And at the end of 6 months, when you look at the mirror, that should give you the ultimate satisfaction because you will no doubt see a difference. But what you shouldn't do is look at that scale after 3 weeks and feel sad about not seeing a difference because that's not the goal of a recomp. The goal of a recomp isn't for the scale to change, it's for your actual physique and body to change. So, if you watch this whole video, that is a general breakdown of how to lose fat while building muscle at the same time. But wait, if you made it this far, I want to give you some extra advice. And that advice is that structure wins. I'm telling you, structure wins. Results come from structured variables, not from random efforts, not from inconsistently showing up. It comes from structure where you consistently show up and you're committed to the grind, you're disciplined, and you're putting in the effort. That's how you get the result. Your training must include progressive overload. Your protein intake must remain consistent. Your calories must be in a controlled range. And having a well planned out, solid structure will remove all of the guesswork and all the inconsistencies. When your training, nutrition, and recovery are all aligning, a recomposition and building a body that you can be proud of becomes predictable. A solid structure is truly what creates consistent outcomes. So, the question becomes, are you applying these principles or are you still guessing? If your goal is to lose body fat while building muscle, these principles need to be applied correctly and consistently. A lot of people understand the ideas, but struggle to implement them in ways that produce measurable progress. That's where individualized structure makes a significant difference. If you're somebody that wants help applying these specifically to your situation, you can message me the word recomp on Instagram at Nick Koff. I can give you clear direction on how I would approach your training, calorie targets, and protein intake based on your current starting point. And if you want more personalized guidance, you can also click the link in my bio to schedule a one-on-one consultation call with me. It's completely free, and that call is a simple conversation to look at your goals, your training history, and determine whether my coaching will be a good fit for you or not. If I can help you, I'll show you exactly how I would approach it. If not, I'll still leave you with clarity on what to focus on next. Other than that, if you enjoyed, learned anything, or took any value from this video at all, please make sure to like the video, comment, and hit that follow button as well. God bless you all, and peace out.